Tom, how did you go from being the leading actor into combining that with a script collaborator?
Well, I mean, it all actually started here in LA, so we're kind of gone full circle now. But I was here back in 2014 and taking some meetings, and one of the meetings I actually had was with a film producer who actually introduced Peter and I. And so she met me and said, "Oh, I've just come across this early draft of this story, and I think you'd be really right to play like the main character." And so then she introduced us back in London, and then Peter and I hit it off right away, like with the story, and the story really appealed to me. And Peter by that point actually already had been working actually on the story for a couple of years before that. And so really then we decided to shoot like a teaser to help raise the rest of the money for the film, because it's a wholly independently financed film. And so we then managed to sort of do that and do the teaser. And I started making some suggestions on how we could maybe improve the script a bit, and a few little dialogue tweaks. And that ended up with being a kind of good 2-year rewriting, restructuring, very thorough like change of the process, which was a really beautiful collaboration.
I love the film. Peter, I want to know, why did you decide to give, if you want, a tribute to Sergei, a person who existed and had to deal with a secret love during the Cold War in the Soviet era?
I think, well, first of all, when I read the original story in my very broken Russian language at home, it made me cry, and I felt very strongly for them and couldn't really imagine how such a story existed in the Soviet Air Force at the height of the Cold War in 1970s. It almost seemed unbelievable. And then I started really exploring it. And for me, growing up as a young gay man under Soviet-occupied Estonia, with a summer house just a few miles from that Air Force base, it was a very personal story that I could relate to. So it was a very easy decision that I will do my best to make this into a film and to tell the story to the world.
Did you guys feel the pressure to make justice to this relationship, this love story, considering that you knew Sergei? I don't know if you met Roman, maybe he passed away before. I know Sergei passed when you were starting production, maybe I'm wrong. And was it that a big compromise to make sure that you will deliver something that was, close to his real life and his real love story?
Yeah, when we actually first went to meet Sergei in Moscow in 2016, it was real honor to be able to meet him and actually meet this person that we are going to extend the life of in the writing, and then actually play invariably, in the performance. And so to be able to sort of like meet him and sort of capture his qualities and his real love for life and his real sort of heart on his sleeve nature, it was honestly heartbreaking when we discovered that he had to go and have some pretty intensive surgery and then actually passed away afterwards. And we actually made the decision to attend his funeral as well. We asked his best friend if it was appropriate, and he said, like, yeah, yes, like, please do come along. And so we attended his wake and his traditional Russian Orthodox burial. And that for me, honestly, was a very surreal moment. I made a commitment to him during that process, like where I said that I will, play to your memory the greatest that I can. And I do hope that, the final performance does some sort of justice to that, and that our writing sort of like collaboration really is a sort of tribute to his legacy.
I think, I think you did great, you guys. I mean, from my humble opinion, I love the film, but the conclusion that I get after seeing the film is that love is unstoppable. n'importe quoi. It doesn't matter where you are. Okay, you in that time you have to have a secret. It was a secret, but it happens today too. Even in Western Europe and the US, there are areas in which homophobia and bigotry run daily life, right? I mean, you see a lot of gay people being attacked by idiots. So it's very relevant today too. You don't have to go back to the 70s to feel all those things and to see that reality. Would you comment on that, Peter?
Absolutely. It's, I think, one of the main goals for me as a director making this film, that it will hopefully shed some light and create some more empathy, that love is love and different relationships and different families have existed in all times and all regimes, even in the Soviet Union and in the Soviet Air Force. And it's sad actually how the situation has gone actually backwards in Russia since Sergei wrote his original autobiography, since the 2013 laws against homosexual propaganda. And we actually felt that on our own, in our own experience, we were invited to screen the film at the Moscow International Film Festival, which was amazing in April. We were actually quite surprised that they dared to program us. And the first screening went well, but then after the first screening, a group of activists wrote the letter to the state prosecutor asking to ban the film. And I think the festival was under an immense political pressure and literally silenced the screening. They canceled all our invites, all press invites, stopped ticket sales, and played the film to an empty cinema.
It's ridiculous. I mean, but it happens in other places too. But I want to, since we don't use narration, could you tell us in few words what is the story about, so we can open our story to edit? So we will use your narration as introduction to the movie.
Well, FIREBIRD is a forbidden love story set in the 1970s Soviet Air Force at the height of the Cold War, as a young, troubled conscript Sergei, who is spending the last month of his military service, and his best friend, the commander to the assistant to the commander of the base, Luisa, both fall for a young fighter pilot, Roman, and the ensuing love story through the next years.
Is Luisa a casualty of love, in a way?
Yeah, I mean, arguably,
a little maybe.
Arguably, like for us as the screenwriters, it could be said that her tragedy is actually the biggest. In a world in which there is not the language to be able to describe a love of this nature, like the boys, like Roman and Sergei, can't speak of this love. You can't. There is not the vocabulary at the time, and then also there is no explanation to be able to deliver that to anybody else either. It's kind of like amazing that Luisa knows no better really when she gives some news to Sergei. I don't want to do any spoilers, but when she gives some news to Sergei, he doesn't really know what can he say. The law basically holds them and sort of with a noose around their neck. And so to every party really in the film, it's actually the totalitarian system which kind of forces people to have to deceive or behave certain ways, simply because the law basically says that that's the way that things are.
And I agree. So Peter, this is your first non-documentary. How did you, because I consider people who do documentaries very pragmatic, but in this case you seem pragmatic but also emotional. So was it difficult for you? Or did you discover something about yourself that you didn't know? You brought your sensibility into the screen.
It's interesting, but I've always been fascinated by films and filmmaking, and I think it was a natural progression. It just happened that life brought documentaries and music videos first, and in a way, my documentary style has always been very observational, so it probably helped also with preparing for the feature. It was a challenge as a first debut feature to really do something where you have, we were shooting in the sea, under the sea, in theater. We were shooting ballet, we were shooting planes flying, and every possible kind of challenge, kids, animals. Very amazing actually process, because we had an amazing team, and at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about, working together with Tom, working together with my DOP and the other crew.
It's an international production, I think. No, there are many. The budget comes from different territories, and also the cast and the crew. How did you got all these people together in this project? There are people from the UK, from Lithuania, from right.
I think we have about 14 different nationalities in our cast and crew. And from day one, we made a decision that we are not going to, since this is foremost a UK production with an Estonian minority, we made a decision that we are not going to do it like without naming films, but there have been quite a few productions which do in RP English, almost like a costume drama. That didn't feel really authentic, and shooting in Russian language was not really a possibility, as most of the established actors declined the roles, saying, I love the story, but it will hurt my career in Russia. And we also felt that really to reach the widest audience, we need to shoot it in English. So then we just...
The lingua franca.
Yeah. we kind of made a decision that we will cast anybody in the world who is right for the role. And we did about 2,500 or 2,400 castings for Roman and Luisa. And the day that Oleg walked into the room, we were both auditioning everybody with Tom. It was just clear that, okay, we finally have our Roman.
That's really cool. How I read some reviews on the film by different publications, and they're all very good. Are you excited? Do you read your reviews, or you don't want to know?
Oh, we love the reviews.
It's good to be. It's good to be well reviewed.
It is very humbled, and I guess it just says that the work speaks for itself, and if people love it, and if they find the film truthful, that's all that matters. It's just grateful to everybody who was part of it and who helped to make it happen.
After I know the film is touring festivals and all that. And you're opening in LA, right, at the Outfest. And are you going to keep doing this kind of storytelling, or you don't know? Are you going to be collaborating together in the future, Tom and Peter, or you don't know what's going on, or was it a good experience?
I think that, we both have very strong attributes in filmmaking, which kind of like covers the other's weakness, or kind of like lesser so of experience. And I think that that's actually why the collaboration has been so effective. I mean, Peter and I have literally co-created this project into many, many different job roles, like way beyond what we're credited for, simply because of like the joy or the desire to have that level of immersion into the film. I mean, we sat through pretty much the entire edit together with our amazing editor, and then at other points, unfortunately, he couldn't carry on, and so we carried on editing the film like ourselves, much under the supervision of our other editor as well, who's fantastic and amazing. And it's been like such an amazing level of immersion that I'm so grateful, particularly like to Peter, to having had that trust in such different areas of the film, and particularly like the producing now that, you know, we've been doing together, like actually all the way through really. And getting to this point now of trying to find the distribution for the film and helping it reach all its maximum audiences. So I think that we, you know, providing we make some money back, and we can prove that we're an effective collaboration and financially can bring some money back in, then it would be a real pleasure to be able to continue to create.